Hi, I'm Tracey L. Fisher, and this is Tracey L. Fisher Community Talks, and I'm here with leader Councilman O.
Yes.
You're the majority leader?
I'm the minority leader.
Minority leader?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
explain that to me.
Okay, well, there are two parties in Philadelphia. Well, there's more than two parties, but it's basically called a two-party system, and so we have a majority party and a minority party. And in Philadelphia, your majority party are your Democrats, and then there's a Republican Party, and that's a minority party, and then there's a bunch of other parties.
So how long have you been a councilman?
I've been a councilman 3 years. I was elected in 2011 and started at the beginning of 2012.
And how's that going?
It's going well. I mean, there's a lot of tough problems. That's why I think it's important to elect good people, and it's important to try to do the best that you can. And so I have worked hard, and I believe that I'm making a difference. And when you feel that way, it's a good job.
So you're up for re-election now, am I right?
I am.
And how's that going?
It's going well. It's going well. I mean, I think it's going well because I have a record to let people know what I've done, and because I've been busy the last 3 years, so people kind of know what I've been doing, and that makes it easier.
Well, as you know, Gateway to Reentry deals with ex-offenders returning home, also prevention in the community as well, stopping from going in.
Yes.
How do you feel about reentry?
Well, it's a very important issue in our city because we have a very large population of returning citizens, ex-offenders, and unfortunately, because of a lack of jobs and a lack of jobs that are available to be what we would call first step jobs that lead to your second and third step, that lead you back into school, that lead you to career, and give you hope for the future. It is an issue that is tied in with our public school system. So re-entry and the prevention of folks going the wrong way is critically important.
Okay, now let's project into the future for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And the results come back and you won.
Yes.
What are the first 3 things you're going to do?
Well, I'm going to continue the work that I have started. Primarily, I got elected on the idea that we could grow the pie, that we could have more jobs, good quality jobs that weren't fanciful, they weren't imaginary, it wasn't like go paint a bridge that doesn't need to be painted, that we would grow the economy around things that are realistic and likely for us. So, for example, growing the tech sector, growing the creative, innovative economy. And people may say, hey, listen, that's not me, I'm not doing tech, I'm not doing creative. There are a lot of jobs, believe it or not, driving a truck. If you drive a film truck, you can make $150,000 a year driving a movie production vehicle. Yeah, you may not be the person doing tech, but you're the person supporting tech. And there are a lot of opportunities because when people have money, that money circulates. And when people have money, they feel good about themselves, they feel good about the future of their children, they want to give back. That's one of the things people want to do. One of the things you're doing right now, giving back.
I appreciate that. Well, what made you get into politics?
I was thinking that I was not doing all that I was able to do. I grew up at 58th and Cobbs Creek, Southwest Philly, public school. My father was a pastor. And I was kind of a person who did many things, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And so I knew a bunch of things. I'd been on the board of a bank. I had been involved with nonprofits. And I'm an attorney by training, and I was a lawyer, and things were going well. But as I continued to wake up and step out of my house at 58th and Cobbs Creek, I see problems every morning and every evening. And I thought, hey, let me get into politics, let me run for office. I don't know that I'm going to win, but I'd like to, but that's a perfect person, right, to talk about issues, to put out solutions. I mean, you don't have to be elected to point out problems. You could just sit there and point out every problem in the world. But you want to present solutions that are practical and at the end of the day that a majority of people will agree with so that you can move it forward. And so I entered the race and it did very well, surprisingly to me and a lot of people, and I kept at it, and so I ran a second time and I ran a third time and I won the third time.
Wow. And now this time right here, what's different about this time other than your experience, of course, than the last few times?
Well, the first time I ran, I was an unknown, without a lot of support, with no, political establishment support. And so it was surprising that I did well, just running on issues. People said, what a boring candidate that guy is. Sounds like he's a professor talking some policy, so nobody understands what he's talking about. When I would walk down North Broad Street and I would talk to people, and I talk about, ports and shipping, a person would say to me, I know all about it. I was here when Philadelphia's ships were backed up the river. And I know about intermodal, and I would be like, wow, the person on the street knows about the economy. And I think that's the first thing. You got to respect people and not assume they don't know what they're, they don't know how to make a decision. And so one of the things that occurred is that each time I ran, I did better and better. But now I've actually got legislation that has passed. I have legislation that's on deck waiting to move forward, and so the fight intensifies, because now we're trying to actually get this stuff done. And I think we're on the cusp of really having a great opportunity, but we have to seal it. We have to get it done. And so I think that's what is different. It's one thing to say, here's what I think could be done, here's what I'm proposing could be done. It's another thing to be working on it and seeing progress and wanting to close that so it becomes a reality. And
passing legislation is, what is the most important one as far as you're concerned that you passed?
Well, I'm very proud of passing a veterans tax credit, because there are a lot of veterans in our city and there's a lot of returning veterans. And similar to the tax credit, where if an employer will hire someone with a felony, basically they'll get money off of their business taxes. It's an incentive, and so for me, passing a veterans tax credit means that we increase the labor pool and we respect those who have served. But what it does is it retains businesses, keeps businesses here, and allows them to expand. And I think one of the ideas that we have to ensure people know is that if you're selling hot dogs and you're not getting too many customers, and I'm selling mustard and buns, we don't have to fight with each other. If we got together, we would sell more together. Right. And so the idea of increasing the labor pool increases the jobs and the investment, and the more money people have, the more they spend, and salaries and wages go up, and in a competitive and beneficial way.
Now, is it hard getting your constituents to understand economically how you need to work together to get things done?
It is sometimes, but I think the majority of people understand that you get more things done working together. That you and I may not agree, we may never agree, but if we take that attitude, nothing will get done for the kids or for the neighborhood. That no matter where you are and I am, this far apart, we have to find that common ground, and we have to understand that you're not going to get your way, I'm not going to get my way, but it's not about you and me. It's about serving the people and how do we get this done. And when you have that going on, you have progress.
And I'm a big fan on education.
Yes.
Where do you stand at?
Well, I will say this, that I think a lot of people know that there's been a lot of problems in our public school, and that's been going on for a long time. Every time you think back, I have introduced legislation, not just because I feel like it, but we have done studies, we've done hearings, we've taken testimony of best practices in public schools. Not just in the U.S., but all around the world. And I did that in conjunction with Councilman Jamie Blackwell, who chairs the Education Committee. I chair Global Opportunities, Creative, Innovative Economy. And so we brought in people from Germany, Sweden, President Obama's former chair of his education task force, Linda Darling-Hammond, top-notch person, respected on both sides of the aisle, and had people testify, via computer from Hong Kong and other really top-notch places. And so what I've done is studied that, and I'm no genius, so I talk to the geniuses, and then we figure out what is common about all these systems of education and what can we do in Philadelphia. Now, we're limited because we don't run the school system, but what we do as council people is we set the governance structure. And so I've introduced a charter change to put best practices in governance. And how that affects things is, for example, if we're looking at communities where there aren't really practical job training And there's a lot of careers out there that pay $75,000, $80,000 a year, but nobody's going to be able to get this because it's not offered in your public school. Well, there's someone in the school system saying, hey, this is important. Well, let's take that person and put them at an upper level management in the school district governance structure. And that's how we start getting that done. Talking about pre-K and making sure the money's there, let's take that and make that an important thing. How about technology? We're sitting here with a camera, you got a computer, I got a cell phone. If we don't have this in our classroom, if kids all across the city, rich or poor, wherever they're from, they don't have the top-notch technology like they do in Korea or Japan or some other country, or in Massachusetts, then they are going to be, from the very beginning of this race for their life, they're going to be behind. And so where are we wasting money? And how come we put a lot of money in the books that don't make it in the classroom? How about putting this into technology? Let's say the kid breaks it. Okay, they're going to break stuff. My kids break stuff. Let's let them have it, and let's let them purchase it in an affordable way. Let's let them borrow it. Let's move forward, because that's the way to get our economy going. And we will not be successful unless the young people in the city are successful. And we have to ensure that they're taking care of our seniors, and that everyone, able-bodied person, male, female, gets a fair shot. I'm also proud, by the way, I did a piece of legislation that I might have to explain to some folks. I did a legislation that said that you cannot be fired or harassed for pumping breast milk at work. And why that's important is because, believe it or not, women have been fired or harassed after they have a baby for wanting to continue to work. They go back to work and they bring a pump with them. Now, if women are going to be fired or harassed or feel bad about themselves because they can't be the best mother possible while being a working woman, then that is going to cause them to want to withdraw from the workforce. If they withdraw from the workforce, we're losing our competitiveness. And so let me just tell you that in Japan, if you have a baby in Japan, you get 1 year paid, right? In Korea, you get like 4 months paid after you have a baby. The reason they do that is for two things. One is they're competing with us. They're saying, look, you know, we're a little country. What do we got? We got people. We got to ensure they get the best education, best training, and best opportunity to be the leaders that they should be. And we got to make sure that they're getting paid right. Now, the other problem they have is nobody's having babies. So they're saying, listen, we don't want them not to have kids, so let's make it easier for them. So the benefit to them has been that they get to be encouraged to be good leaders and good mothers. And that gives them satisfaction in the workplace, and it causes the society to respect the two roles that they're doing simultaneously. They're being earners, they're being contributors to the community, and they're also raising good children. We were, 20 years ago, number 4 in the world for young mothers and new mothers in the workplace. Now we're like number 32. Not because we've regressed, but because other countries are competing with us. And what is the reason they can? Because of good schools. Because they are not making sneakers, you know, because they are doing technology, they're doing architecture, they're doing new things around arts and culture that are a big part of the economy, and they are leading corporations and things like that. And so it's important for us to make sure that everybody, including, you know, whether it's by race or religion or gender, whatever you have, that everyone gets a meritorious opportunity. And that includes, you know, the whole reentry thing that you're doing. Okay, somebody has something, but what can they contribute? And if we don't let them contribute, it hurts us and it hurts them. And when we hurt them, they hurt us back. In one way or the other, that is going to come back to be a problem for us. So, you know, whatever the ideas of, you know, crime and punishment, they're out there. But whatever people's opinions are, once we have people back in the society, we need to ensure, for our own good, that they are productive, contributing, taking care of their families, you know, having a positive opportunity. That is the best way that we can ensure that there will not be a continuous vicious cycle.
And to end on that note, to ensure that is support groups like Gateway to Reentry, because that's where our passion lies at.
Yes.
It's not just ex-offenders, returning citizens, but people that never even had a record before.
Yes.
Because you can't exclude them out. Because
Right.
before I got locked up, I ain't never had a record.
Right.
So had it been a program I can go to or prevention, I might have been Obama, man. I would have been Obama.
Right, exactly.
But now I have a record, so certain things is off the table.
Right.
But I want to thank you for coming.
Thank
This
you.
is Tracey L. Fisher, Community Talks with Councilman David O.